What if I told you there was once a kingdom in West Africa so feared that European traders refused to enter its lands without permission? A kingdom where women were not confined to the background, but led armies. A kingdom whose warriors were said to laugh in the face of death, whose kings saw no difference between the battlefield and the throne. This is not a legend. This is the true story of the Kingdom of Dahomey, a kingdom born in fire, raised in blood, and remembered in whispers. In the 17th century, deep in what is now Benin, a small chiefdom rose under a leader named Huigbaja. He didn't inherit power, he seized it. Surrounded by rival tribes and expanding empires, Huigbaja built his capital at Abomey on the red soil that would soon be stained darker with the blood of enemies. But it was his son, King Agaja, who transformed Dahomey from a name into a legend. Agaja saw the European slave trade devouring Africa, kingdom after kingdom tearing itself apart to feed the ships on the coast. But he refused to let Dahomey become prey. Instead, he turned his kingdom into a predator. He built a professional army, drilled day and night. Every man was a soldier, every village a fortress. And then came something no one in Africa or Europe expected. The Ahosi, known later as the Dahomey Amazons. These were not wives or servants. They were warriors, women trained from childhood to fight, kill, and never retreat. They sharpened their teeth before battle, wore belts of enemy skulls, and sang songs that promised death before dishonor. When they marched, the ground trembled. European soldiers would later write that facing them was like facing the devil's army. But Agaja's ambition had no bounds. He waged war against the mighty Oyo Empire and the coastal kingdom of Huaida, determined to control the trade routes, not to serve the Europeans, but to master them. He burned Huaida to the ground in 1727, capturing its ports and forcing the Europeans to deal directly with him. In his court, he received envoys from Portugal and France, not as equals, but as subjects. He spoke to them through interpreters while seated on thrones carved from human skulls, symbols of Dahomey's power and pride. But the kingdom's greatest strength was also its curse. To maintain its armies and influence, Dahomey became tangled in the very trade it once despised, the slave trade. They captured enemies and sold them, using the profits to buy guns and powder. It was a devil's bargain, a cycle that would haunt Dahomey for centuries. But when the tide turned, when Europe turned from trade to colonization, Dahomey refused to bow. Enter King Gezo, the reformer. Ruling from 1818 to 1858, Gezo faced a new threat, European powers demanding the end of the slave trade. The British Navy blockaded Dahomey's ports, missionaries flooded the coast. But Gezo stood firm. He famously declared, "The slave trade is the ruling principle of my people. It is the source of their glory and wealth. The mother lulls the child to sleep with notes of triumph over an enemy reduced to slavery." To him, this was not mere profit, it was sovereignty. To give it up meant submitting to the same powers that once came begging for trade. Still, Gezo wasn't blind. He sought to modernize Dahomey, building roads, training new regiments, strengthening Dahomey's walls, and standing beside him, as always, were the Amazon warriors, now numbering in the thousands. When Gezo's successor, King Glele, took the throne, the Europeans came not as traders, but as conquerors. By the late 19th century, France had its eyes on West Africa, and Dahomey stood right in their path. And so began one of the fiercest wars of African resistance, the Franco-Dahomeyan Wars. The French had rifles, artillery, and warships. The Dahomey warriors had courage, loyalty, and rage. Eyewitnesses describe Amazon warriors charging through gunfire, cutting down French soldiers before being ripped apart by bullets. They did not run. Even when wounded, they crawled forward with machetes in their hands. In one battle, a reportedly captured French officer said, "These women fight like lions. They are not of this world." But bravery could not stop bullets forever. By 1894, the French forces stormed Dahomey. King Behanzin, Dahomey's last true ruler, set fire to his own palace, choosing ashes over surrender. He told his people, "The gods will remember that we did not kneel." And as flames consumed the city, the kingdom that once ruled the coast of West Africa fell silent, but not defeated. Today, the spirit of Dahomey lives on, in the modern Republic of Benin, in the songs, the dances, the rituals, and in the stories told by elders who whisper of a time when Africa was not broken, but unbreakable. A time when women led armies, a time when kings defied empires, a time when freedom was not begged for, it was fought for. The kingdom of Dahomey may have fallen, but its courage still echoes through history, because true power is not in conquest, it's in the refusal to be conquered. If you found this story as powerful as I did, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it, so more people will know that Africa's history is not of defeat, but of defiance.